physical altercation involving Phoenix Mercury veteran Alyssa Thomas, the league office has been frantically trying to fully handle the major PR problem. The enormous corporate shockwave that recently completely upended the professional basketball industry, however, is unquestionably more powerful than anything that has occurred thus far. Music has formally joined the conversation with the highest authority figure in the entire sport, the one CEO who has more structural and financial influence than anyone else in the basketball universe. The WNBA front office is currently experiencing a complete panic due to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver's full-fledged involvement in the WNBA upheaval and his extremely critical and analytical viewpoint on the protection of generational superstars. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert can just make a boilerplate public relations, music statement in response to criticism of the league from sports pundits or former players, then wait for the inevitable news cycle to pass. However, when Adam Silver, the visionary CEO, who recently successfully negotiated an unprecedented $77 billion television broadcasting agreement, chooses to openly criticize and closely examine how a league is handling its ultimate cash cow, you quickly rethink your entire organizational concept rather than only listening. The scope of Adam Silver's comprehensive intervention into the physical culture of the WNBA is being thoroughly dissected today. Why the WNBA is today facing a tremendous corporate ultimatum from the billionaire television executives who subsidize their existence, and why his particular history of shielding NBA players absolutely contradicts the conventional narrative of women's basketball. We are taking no shortcuts in this in-depth analysis, so don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button. There were 2 cheap shots that were missed by our WNBA superstar and generational talent. And once more, it is completely inappropriate. Do you believe the league should investigate Caleb Clark's defense or future officiating practices, Steph? I mean, we looked at officiating for the entire off-season. And I continue to say that consistency is the one thing we consistently demand. She is not referred to in the same manner as everyone else. In order to fully understand why Adam Silver's particular role is so detrimental to the present WNBA leadership, you must examine the fundamental differences between the 2 leagues' current perceptions of their most prized athletic talents. Because he has a thorough understanding of the fundamentals of sports capitalism, Adam Silver is considered by many to be one of the most exceptionally effective and proactive sports commissioners in the history of international athletics. He fully understands that a very small, extremely exclusive group of transcendent superstars are responsible for billions of dollars in television income, enormous corporate sponsorships, and unprecedented worldwide fan participation. If you are an NBA player like Steph Curry, LeBron James, or Luka Doncic, the league deliberately and mathematically protects you against violent intimidation outside of the court. Silver deliberately directs his highly skilled officiating teams to strictly enforce freedom of movement, severely penalize needless upper body contact, and completely do away with the gritty, filthy enforcer methods that were prevalent in the 1990s. Music. Why? Because the paying audience is there to witness amazing world-class athletic prowess, not to witness a very talented superstar being methodically pounded into the operating room by an entirely unimpressive role player. However, when NBA executives like Adam Silver look across the corporate aisle at the WNBA, they see the exact opposite, dangerous ideology in action. They are watching a league in its entirety and obstinately refuse to defend the one generational player who is driving their enormous new television numbers on their own. Music. Under the horribly antiquated, extremely toxic pretense of earning her stripes, they are witnessing a profoundly ingrained, highly isolated locker room culture openly try to physically break a rookie sensation. Adam Silver is fully aware of how fundamentally incompatible this extremely defensive and angry old guard mentality is with contemporary sports economics. And his well-thought-out intervention is intended to push the WNBA into the lucrative contemporary era and out of the dark ages. It is impossible to deny the ridiculousness of the WNBA's officiating standards when you examine the much scrutinized physical sequence involving Alyssa Thomas through the highly specific, deeply corporate lens of Adam Silver and the NBA front office. Let's give the highly contentious game movie a thorough review. We witnessed a scene in which a grounded, helpless rookie superstar's extremely vulnerable throat and upper chest region was struck by an extremely heavy, concentrated quantity of body weight and a closed fist. After that extremely taxing and contentious physical encounter, Clark tried to make a deep three-pointer, but her extremely sacred and heavily guarded landing space was completely carelessly violated. This led to a terrifying crash to the hardwood and a persistent back injury that kept her out of the lineup. Adam Silver would not hesitate for a second if this exact extremely dangerous sequence of events happened during a nationally televised NBA game, if a seasoned enforcer violated Steph Curry's landing space after aggressively applying upper body leverage to his throat. The offending player would be promptly removed from the competition and given a lengthy, widely reported, unpaid suspension for several games. And the entire officiating staff would get harsh criticism for their inability to ensure the players' complete safety on the court. After Kawhi Leonard suffered a devastating injury years ago, Adam Silver famously completely revised the NBA rulebook to severely penalize landing space violations. This was done because he realized that safeguarding the physical well-being of airborne shooters is crucial to the league's survival. However, the WNBA officiating staff permitted this identical, extremely dangerous behavior to take place without blowing a single whistle in real time, and the league office only imposed a minimal, heavily criticized one-game suspension after their reputation was completely destroyed by the national media. Adam Silver is actively addressing the stark differences in basic player safety procedures between the two leagues. By vehemently arguing that the NBA has no right to meddle in the internal affairs of women's basketball, many extremely ardent and devoted WNBA purists often deliberately try to brush off any criticism from the outside. However, the absolute, indisputable financial truth of how these two professional leagues are interwoven is simply ignored by that particular, extremely defensive argument. Adam Silver is more than just an enthusiastic, casual bystander. He effectively controls the whole professional basketball ecosystem as the ultimate corporate overall boss. For many years, the NBA has provided the WNBA with substantial financial support, actively helping to keep the league afloat during its extremely unsuccessful early years. More significantly, though, is the much-heralded, enormous $3. Alongside the NBA's big new television rights agreements, the WNBA just announced a $1 billion media broadcasting deal that was fully negotiated as a very strategic, substantially bundled package deal. The WNBA was not given billions of dollars by the millionaire executives of Amazon, NBC, and Disney out of pure charity. They paid that enormous, previously unheard of premium precisely because they can mathematically identify the enormous, previously unheard of global audience figures that Caitlin Clark independently guarantees each and every time she takes the court. Adam Silver is therefore not merely watching a basketball game when he observes the WNBA officiating crew's utter failure to shield that extremely valuable specific asset from highly targeted non-basketball physical contact. He is actively monitoring a serious danger to the television package's overall financial stability, which he just magically negotiated. The enormous primetime television ratings will drastically decline if Caitlin Clark is taken out of the lineup due to cumulative injuries brought on by unrestrained experienced aggressiveness. The league's precarious economic impetus will quickly vanish, and the television partners will become utterly enraged. Since the present WNBA leadership appears to be utterly incapable of protecting a multi-billion-dollar corporate investment, Adam Silver is aggressively intervening to do so. When you examine Adam Silver's particular, widely reported personal remarks on Caitlin Clark's entirely unprecedented influence on the world of sports, the sheer scope of his profound, all-encompassing intervention becomes even more remarkable. When it comes to public endorsements, Silva is renowned for being extremely cautious. However, he has recently publicly expressed his admiration for her immense star power, declaring on national broadcasts that she has absolutely and entirely ignited the world. Music. He knows full well that Clark has accomplished something that no other player in WNBA history has ever even come close to. She has officially become a gigantic, extremely profitable global cultural phenomenon, transcending the extremely localized, specialized audience of women's basketball. She deliberately commands the same degree of distinguished attention from mainstream sports media, significant corporate endorsements, and unquestionable cultural relevance as the world's biggest superstar athletes. And for this reason, even the highest echelons of sports administration find the league appears to be fully allowing a small, vocal group of extremely jealous and insecure veteran players to actively dictate a highly aggressive, extremely concerning physical narrative, rather than actively rolling out the absolute red carpet, fiercely protecting her physical safety, and aggressively marketing her incredible talent to the global audience. Silva's well-thought-out intervention is a huge, loud wake-up call to the league that it is just not possible to run a contemporary, globally relevant sports team while actively allowing your biggest star to be physically abused on a regular basis by far inferior opponents. The world of professional basketball is officially at the most crucial and pivotal point in the sport's history. All of the highly defensive justifications that the WNBA executive management has been frantically trying to deploy have been officially eliminated by NBA Commissioner Adam Silver's well-reported and quite potent involvement. The world is now able to view the extremely harsh and terrible reality that a very dangerous landing space violation or a closed fist to the throat would instantly result in severely damaging career sanctions. Irrespective of whether the offending player is a rotating bench player or a 10-year veteran. If this league is to be regarded seriously by the general public worldwide, the period of unrestrained, highly focused physical intimidation must be officially and permanently removed. What are your honest thoughts on Adam Silver's significant involvement in the WNBA chaos? Do you really think the NBA commissioner has the right to insist that Caitlin Clark receive better protection? Or should the WNBA be permitted to carry on like an extremely unlawful octagon of physical combat? Music. I'm actively reading all of your deepest, most analytical thoughts, so please share them in the comments box below. Remember to hit the like button. For the greatest, most unvarnished tactical coverage on YouTube, subscribe to WNBA Pro. To ensure you never miss a significant update, click the notification bell. Until the next time, pay close attention to the
I want to see Caitlin treated fairly and appropriately in the league. I would say seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player. I think it may be lost on some people who are new to basketball in terms of a little bit of the controversy in the WNBA. What an incredible talent she is. 2 Final Fours, leading scorer, history of college basketball. So I look forward to watching her ongoing development in the league. I think ultimately this is very healthy for women's basketball in the WNBA. It's generating tremendous additional interest. In fairness to the other players and in fairness to Commissioner Lambert, this didn't just start this year. Certainly we're seeing an acceleration.
During the last few weeks, the mainstream sports media environment has been entirely engulfed by the intensely divisive and passionate national debate around Caitlin Clark's physical treatment. We have seen fiercely devoted fans, renowned Hall of Fame players, and extremely opinionated national television broadcasters all work together to expose the seriously inadequate officiating standards that currently afflict the WNBA. Following the closely watched physical altercation involving Phoenix Mercury veteran Alyssa Thomas, the league office has been frantically trying to fully handle the major PR problem. The enormous corporate shockwave that recently completely upended the professional basketball industry, however, is unquestionably more powerful than anything that has occurred thus far. Music has formally joined the conversation with the highest authority figure in the entire sport, the one CEO who has more structural and financial influence than anyone else in the basketball universe. The WNBA front office is currently experiencing a complete panic due to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver's full-fledged involvement in the WNBA upheaval and his extremely critical and analytical viewpoint on the protection of generational superstars. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert can just make a boilerplate public relations, music statement in response to criticism of the league from sports pundits or former players, then wait for the inevitable news cycle to pass. However, when Adam Silver, the visionary CEO, who recently successfully negotiated an unprecedented $77 billion television broadcasting agreement, chooses to openly criticize and closely examine how a league is handling its ultimate cash cow, you quickly rethink your entire organizational concept rather than only listening. The scope of Adam Silver's comprehensive intervention into the physical culture of the WNBA is being thoroughly dissected today. Why the WNBA is today facing a tremendous corporate ultimatum from the